Okay, good morning. I'm Kristel, and it's a pleasure to be here with you. And I'm interested in know which ones are the principal benefits of the genetic improvement. If you can tell me.
Genetic improvement is a means for the producer to choose what the next generation will be like. You can, according to your interest, can be personal interest, it can be production interest, or market interest. You can affect the genetics of the next generation, and basically that's the basis of genetic improvement. Depending on the goals that you want to achieve, then you define your genetic improvement strategies.
And based on the economic increases that you have, which method it's recommended to use, or in which one are the techniques that you use in order to choose the method that you use?
Well, it's not only the economics behind it. It's how the industry is providing the services and how affordable are they to the producers, and how easy are they to take to the field. Artificial insemination, for example, has been around us for a little more than 80 years. Artificial insemination is probably the cheapest way to do genetic improvement. However, it takes time, and the following generation, or the father, is only providing, or you're controlling who the father will be. So you're only controlling 50% of the genetics. The other 50% is being put out by the mother, and each mother will be different. So even though it's cheap, it has its limitation. Genetic improvement can be done with embryo transfer. Embryo transfer is different methods of embryo transfer, but the thing is that you're controlling the mother, the donor of the embryos, or the oocytes, and then you're also controlling who the father will be. So the next generation is exactly what you want to be, and it's 100% what you want the next generation to be. So it might be a little more expensive, much more expensive than artificial insemination, but artificial insemination, in order to get 100% of what you want, it will take 3, maybe 4 or more generations. Okay? And each generation in bovine, in livestock production, it might take up to 3 years. So it might be 12 years before you get 100% with artificial insemination. In 9 months with embryo transfer, you will have something that is 100% of what you want. Then cloning, you mentioned cloning in your introduction. Cloning is a means of preserving a unique animal. Okay? It's usually very expensive, but usually there is no other way to preserve, to make a clone of a unique animal that can be unique because of genetic potential.
Okay. And I have a question. In the process of embryo transfer, how many cows can you take for one process?
Okay, let's see. It depends really on what is the method that you're using. In normal artificial or embryo transfer, usually you are challenging a cow to produce multiple oocytes, and you artificially inseminate her and trying to produce multiple embryos. The responses of the cows vary, and it can be zero response, which some cows will have a zero response, and there are some excellent cows that will respond with maybe 11, 17, 24 embryos, and it can be more, it can be up to 50. In the literature, you find cows that have done 50. But on the average, For beef cattle, you get 6 to 8 embryos, and in dairy cattle, you get 8 to 12 embryos each time you run the cow through a process of stimulation. Usually you try to do 3 or 4 stimulations before you get her pregnant again. And then again you start again and you do 3 to 4 stimulations. And if in each one of them you get, let's say, 8 embryos, then you could get 30, maybe 35 embryos plus the pregnancy. So that could be done in a 18 months time. Okay, you can do that. But there is other methods to do embryo transfer. For example, in vitro fertilization. You get the oocytes and you produce embryos. You can massively produce embryos that way, and you can get maybe 300 per year, 200 per year. However, the pregnancy rates is what's the difference.
Okay. And does this process have consequences in the cow, or?
No. Well, usually those animals that are designated for embryo transfer usually are donor cows, and they have been selected to provide embryos. If you let them go naturally with the pregnancies, let's say you tested a cow and it takes maybe 2 or 3 parturitions for you to realize that is the top animal that you want to breed, then it will probably give you in her lifetime well taken care of cow, maybe 7 years extra, 7 pregnancies. Okay, but if you started on the embryo transfer, instead of producing 7 pregnancies, you will produce probably, let's say, 30 embryos per year times 7 years. That'd be 200 embryos. That'd be a lot of embryos. And even with a 50% rate, you will be producing 100 pregnancies in surrogate mothers. Right? Not on her, but in surrogate mothers that will serve as recipients to those embryos.
Okay. And talking about clonation, that method, it's not used in a productive farm, right? Because of their cost. But what are the parameters that you need to know to consider the clonation?
Okay, no, cloning is a method that is it's in the stages of development still, because it's part of a experimental model that allows you to do research in undifferentiated cells that are in a stage that is called mother cells, that can reproduce or can bring out all the genetics from them because they're undifferentiated. So there's a lot of research that comes from different molecular biology techniques dealing with cloning. Okay? So cloning is more of a model, of a research model than anything else. However, you can reproduce animals that are excellent, okay, that have been leading the industry. You can do a clone, okay? And there is 2 ways to do it. One, you can produce a clone out of a mother cell, or you can divide an embryo. And once you divide an embryo, it's like producing a clone, a second embryo. Okay? And it can be mechanically divided. An embryo at the modular stage can be divided into 2, and it will be two sister cows or 2 brother bulls that will be very much like a twin, okay? Siamese twins.
The last question is just if you can tell me which method of embryo transfer or insemination it's recommended in meat cattle and in milk cattle.
Well, artificial insemination is widely used. It's easy to train people, and the success rate of its application is rather good. You can get maybe, for example, in heifers, you can get 95% pregnancy rates. 90 to 95 pregnancy rates is common to get that. In well-managed, well-nourished beef cattle, you can get 70, 73%. And in well-nourished dairy cows, you can get up to 60% pregnancy rates with artificial insemination. Altogether, there shouldn't be a problem to get, after several tries, to get maybe 75, 80%, 85% pregnancy rates. So, and on top of that, artificial insemination is more a technique, and you don't need advanced studies to do it. You can have I have known some of the best, or some of the best artificial inseminators that I have known barely know how to read and write, but they are good in their technique. So they are good in artificial insemination. In embryo transfer, you need somebody to do it that is well trained, that understands the cycle, reproductive cycle of the cows, and that can make decisions upon the challenges that each cow will present. And that means you need a veterinarian, you need a professional in animal science, maybe with a master's degree in reproduction, in order to do the techniques. So that's why it's more expensive. However, in the industry, there are places in the world that are using already embryos as means of producing gestations that in a similar at a similar cost that the artificial insemination can produce.
So thank you for your time, and that's all. Now I will try to give a conclusion from the interview that we did for the Dr. Matamoros. We talk about the topic about genetic improvement. We focus in three topics specifically. It was embryo transfer, artificial insemination, and also clonation. But the principal thing of this from this text is that we want to find out which of these methods was better. The answer was that it depends in what or for what you want to use each one. For example, if we want to use it in a farm from when you produce cattle, meat cattle, it's the better method that you could use is embryo transfer. But if you have both sides of genetic from the cow and also from the bull, because you can uh, improve the genetic of the cat from the cattle that you will reproduce from these two. But if you don't have the genetic that you need from the cow, but you do from the bull, it's recommended to use artificial insemination because you could use whatever cow that you want to use without getting advantage of its genetic. By the other side, there's clonation, but clonation nowadays it's only used from scientific situations in which they want to preserve some species, or if he want to make more as one cow or as one bull. Then the percentage of getting accepted this method, it depends on the method that you use. For example, the from 3 or 4 sperms that you deposit in the cow, in artificial insemination you get 90% of to get fecundate. But in the embryo transfer, from 8 to 7 embryos that you transfer, uh, it will get pregnant like 2 or 3 counts. And by the other side, clonation, it's difficult to use because it needs a lot of scientific information, a lot of caution in all the aspects, and you need to have the technology to control the process from the fecundation until the born of this cow. Um, I think that in summary, that was all the two parameters that I want to figure out, and that's all.